Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry, I was just shouting at my camera there. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're back here with this week's edition of the Debrief. The crew is together. Oscar is just on the way back. I can tell you that for certain. He's been working all day, working 9 till 5. What a way to get to the Debrief. I have Gabe with me at this moment in time, and we're going to be getting through everything Leeds United. But before we start, I want to get in a couple of your comments because I've not been live in so long. Here we go. Logan's in the building. Hi, Logan. Good evening, all. David's back in the building as well. Evening. Hello, Stephen. Evening, folks. Hello, everybody. Derek's in the building as well. Hi, Derek. Michael's here too. You can become a YouTube member as well, everybody. Click the join button description below. Me and Gabe have also done a podcast earlier on, now a long podcast, well worth checking out. And without any further ado, the American that we love the most is Gabe. How you doing, mate?
The only American you guys love. Let's be real. The only. I'm a statistical minority. I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm all good. I'm looking forward to Leeds getting back into action. Resident Alien says, good evening, all. From Ireland. Hey, mate. Come on, England. Yeah, England fans here. Don't get Gabe. Don't set Gabe off. We'll go down an absolute wormhole of England.
Yeah, I got to bring us back into a vortex of I'll be talking about beaches soon. And
yeah, we had this earlier on Across the Pond. If anybody is interested in that stuff, you can watch that on the Patreon. But yes, we got into England earlier on as well. But yeah, keep getting your comments in, everybody. From KY, Kentucky, presumably. Evening, pal. Come on, Connor, cheer up. England's up forward to tonight. Yeah, I'm just never a massive fan of England, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, Gabe, let's get into it. We will wait for our pal Oscar. What have you been up to? I'll reverse the question from earlier on, mate. What have you been up to in the international break? Obviously, you were missing last week on the Debrief. What's going on?
Yeah, I was working as I continue to work now that things have changed and shifted on that front. Man, watched a lot of international matches. It was a good weekend. Nice to see some truly excellent goals, some aging goalkeepers. People can read between the lines how they want to. I'm not going to explain it because I don't want to trigger my show host here into a tirade aimed towards me. But things have been good, man. Things have been good. We were supposed to get spring. We've gone through the first day of spring, and then it dumped 5 inches of snow on us, which I wasn't pleased about.
It's as if, Gabe, people know when you're in the building. Resident Alien has just become a member for 2 months and says, so Adams or Ampadu. It's as if as soon as you're back, the American questions come up. And interesting to see, actually, in the international break, one of the outstanding things that we saw was Tyler Adams' goal, obviously against Mexico.
40 yards out.
40 yards out. I think you text me as soon as he did it, and immediately I blamed the keeper.
Yeah, you did.
But in all fairness, I did say it was a good strike. It was a great strike. It was. I would be expecting a very decent keeper to save that. However, it was a very good effort. Hugh Davis says Tyler Adams screamer versus Mexico.
It was a rocket.
Gabe, Michael has asked you the question. You've seen the new Leeds summer collection, NFL and NBA style gear. What now, Gabe? I'll let you PC, Gabe, PC, but you can have a chat about this, mate. You can let us know what your thoughts are on the new Leeds United merch from an American standpoint. Have Leeds hit the money?
Why did you have to frame it that way? From an American standpoint, as if we look at merchandise inherently different.
No. It's not merchandise, mate. What I'm saying is, have they got, if this question directs, have they got the spin on the NFL and the NBA style gear bang on? That's how I'm framing the question.
It would be really strange for me to walk around the States. This is the kind of thing you market to people in the UK because they're like, oh, American sports. Like, you would never see someone wearing a Leeds United basketball kit in the States. It just
are you trying to tell me that Elan Melier dripped out in a basketball full kit with Leeds and then a football underneath it is not something that you'd contemplate wearing around where you reside?
No disrespect to Elan Melier, but if I saw him in a gym and we were meant to be playing pickup basketball, I would pick him last based on how he looked in that kit. say this guy, he's got some height, but I don't know how coordinated he's going to be out here playing up and down. I think, look, we talked about the prices. They are astronomical. There will be some people just love to collect stuff. that will pay it. And I'm sure that's why they put it at that price point. I'm sure they have a data story around how people buy and when they buy. And I'm sure pretty soon we'll see those prices plummet and they'll be in the clearance bin in a number of months. And if you want, you can get that whole kit for 20 quid versus the astronomical price they have it for right now. So yeah, listen, I love Leeds United. I've got 4 different shirts. I never wear them on the stream, but I probably should start doing that.
Quick question. I'm just interested because obviously we saw Sinistera go off as well the other day. Did Tyler Adams go off the other day as well?
So he is on a minutes restriction. Technically it was Nations League, so it's a tournament, but Bournemouth asked that he not play more than 45 minutes. So they brought him on at halftime, and then they went to extra time because we nearly bottled it in one of the matches. And then so they pulled him off, even though he came on as a sub, and he was not happy about it. Speaking of happiness and unhappiness, the man who was stuck in traffic, Oscar.
Apologies, guys. Apologies. Can you hear me okay?
You need to turn that microphone on, my friend.
Can you hear me?
No, we can, but it's the ambient sound.
We can. I don't think it's your actual mic, my friend.
Right, drop us out for 2 seconds, mate. I'll get it sorted.
I don't know who else
wants to be an at-home sound tech to go around Oscar's house. Oscar
is the number one when it comes to tech. Resident Alien says, with the American influence now, do we think the replica kits, clothing, merch will be larger American style sizes? Potentially, Resident Alien, maybe. I'm not going to go too far.
There are large people in the UK too. We should.
No, they're not. No, they're not, mate.
No, that's right. Everybody's fit as a fiddle. You're right.
Everybody is in ripped condition. Everybody is in tip-top shape, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. So maybe 49ers will target another US men's national team superstar to boost the US marketing. Maybe. Let's hope they don't go down that route. Not saying they're bad players, but let's hope we don't start targeting the US men's national team. I think I'm
pretty sure Daniel Farke is going to have a lot to say about who comes in and who doesn't. And anybody that comes in is going to be a player that he rates, and not because their ownership groups do not tend to target American players solely because they're American. There's so many American ownership groups in world football. You'd be shocked. I would say it's probably more than 50% of the big clubs.
So what was it? So we've not really got into it. What was your viewpoint on the last game, mate? Obviously we didn't really catch up after the fact. And obviously Leeds getting another win under the belt. Did you manage to sort of like catch up on the game or?
No, I watched it. Yeah, of course. Listen, at this point, I'm just happy that we're getting wins and keeping clean sheets. I mean, I know that we get into this space where we want to see us dominate every match 4-0, 5-0. But I mean, think about it. Form table, we're number one. We've been number one since January, but it's the granular data over the past 10 games is staggering. We've been playing extremely well on both ends of the pitch, even if we haven't converted all our chances. So I guess there's room to, quote, improve. But I'm incredibly positive about it's hard to be. I mean, what, 29 points, 9 wins, 1 draw in our last 10? That's absurd. That's absurd.
For a data man, that gets you very excited as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, wins and losses, I think, are probably the most important data point. Someone should tell Jesse Marsh that. By the way, while we're waiting for Oscar, there's a feud happening right now between Greg Berhalter and Jesse Marsh. I'll tell you about it some other time. We don't want to take this. It's hilarious. They're taking shots at each other in the media. I love it. It's fantastic.
That's good. That's great news. Render says, hey up, Connor, Gabe, hope you're both well. Good luck to the Welsh Leeds lads tonight. Oh, no. I forgot about this, Paul. The Welsh boys are in action again. 4 of our lads, they stayed fit in the first game. A brilliant 4-1 win, Gabe, against Glenn Kamara's sorry Finland, who were well and truly battered in that game.
Ice fishing, Finland is the first place I'd go. If I want a football team competitive in the world stage, no offense to Glenn Kamara, they're probably not going to be where I look.
No, maybe not. But it's a critical period for Leeds. I mean, even tonight, you just think about it off the bat, and it's a huge game for us, not just Wales. Huge.
Yeah. Who are they playing?
I believe is it the Finland game again? I think. Let us know.
They're playing Finland twice.
I think it was a double leg. I think it was. God. We'll have to let the chat let us know in the chat, everybody. I think it was. Apologies for my horrendous knowledge of Welsh football. But yeah, I have no idea. I believe it
Brenda
is.
says it's Poland. If it's Poland, I'm a little bit concerned because they can be a bit physical. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. There you go. Yeah, they could be a bit physical. Yeah, but yeah. So Poland, there you go. That is, yeah. I mean, to be honest, it'd have been better if it was a double header against Finland. To be honest with you, because they'd have already been through. So there you go. But yeah, so winner goes to the Euros. So it's a massive game. Bowden's in the building. I always say Bowden's got the best name in the One Leeds sphere. Bowden Llewellyn, what a name. Winner goes to the Euros. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, definitely. Gabe, I wanted to get your take on something. There has been a Dutch journalist earlier on today who said, a famous Dutch journalist, who said, apparently, Leeds United's Crescencio Summerville, whatever happens with Leeds United, he expects Cree to move on, but he expects Cree to move on to Feyenoord. Now, I did read this a little bit earlier on, and I thought, okay, I don't really understand why he'd go to the Eredivisie if he is in the Premier League with Leeds United.
Go to the what?
I feel the...
He'd go to the what?
Eredivisie.
Okay.
Why? How do you pronounce it?
We're not going to go there. Keep going. I didn't even know what you meant. I was like, what?
Eredivisie. That's how I'd always let me know if I've butchered that, everybody, or if it's just a problem with dialect there. But there we go. Yeah. So I would expect him to stick around at Leeds United. I wouldn't expect that to be a problem. But yeah, he is almost certain that he'll move on, and Feyenoord could be the destination for him. What is your immediate take on that?
I've got to dig out Jason Lee here. Feyenoord is not a sideways step from the championship. but to your point, it's not the Premier League. I don't know. Maybe he misses. I'm not sure like where he's actually from. I don't know. It also could be a plant to renegotiate his contract. You know, it could be that Summerville's entourage, his agent or whatever, have thrown that out there in order to scare Leeds a little bit and renegotiate the deal that he's on, because he's certainly not earning what a player of his caliber at any division probably would expect. So we'll see. I mean, I guess we'll see how it shakes out. I don't have any real concerns at this point in the season. And I guess we'll non-answer. Well, Connor, we'll have to see. I can say that for anything you ask me for. Gabe, how do you think we're going to do this season? Well, Connor, we'll have to see.
I guess it's more. I guess the overarching question. I mean, he started at Feyenoord. I know that he was there from about 2008 in their academy. So he's born in Rotterdam, I believe. So he's not far away. So I believe that's the link again, but. I just find it bizarre that Dutch journalists ever think that even if you're a newly promoted side, I'm not saying all Dutch journalists believe this, by the way, but it's just interesting that you've got a link there. And I guess it brings up the bigger question, the broader question of, do you really expect any Leeds United player, if we're to go up, to immediately move on? Would you say that would be the landscape? So you've just said, there, you would expect... If we get to the Premier League, and obviously we have these big sellable assets that we know, we've got William Gnonto, we've got Crescencio Summerville, you'd put Joe Perreault in there, and a few others, you'd expect Leeds to be definitely more vulnerable than we were last time we went up.
Here's why. I'm not saying that I like this, I approve of it, or it's my opinion. Okay? It's not that my personal opinion. It's just how I analyze teams that are going up. It is more difficult to get significant notice if you're playing for a team that would be tipped for relegation. And let's be clear, I think we can survive, but any team that gets promoted is favorites for relegation the next season. That's just how relegation and promotion works in the FA tree or pyramid. So I think if you're a player who thinks that you could command a big, or wants to move to what they would call a bigger club, like a top 6 in one of the top 3 or 4 leagues, you would go to a club that's playing Champions League, get some of that exposure. You would earn serious money there and get tipped for a move to, like, a Manchester United, a Bayern Munich, a Borussia Dortmund, things like that, on a contract that you'll be able to cash in on. It's just, for whatever reason, it seems more difficult for players to. I mean, it's harder to stand out for a relegation threatened club. It is, right? Because it's tough going. Now, I'm not saying, and I have to clarify this again, that we're going to be relegated or that we should be like, I have no idea what team we're going to field next season. So we just don't know. I'm just saying that's the logic of it. There's a precedence for it. So you can understand why some players who are committed this season might be thinking, what's my next step going to be? Where do I want to play my football? And there might be some people who don't love living in Leeds. I know that's hard. I liked Leeds. I liked living there, but there are some people that maybe don't want to live there, right? And it's not just a matter of playing for a club that has prestige. I mean, you get one career, and players are motivated by different things now, and a lot of it is, it's hard to predict. So, but you can see the idea of, if I go to a big club in an easier division where I'm really going to stand out, but I also get Champions League football, and I mean easier division than the Premier League, then I can get a big move, and I bet on myself to make it work out. It doesn't always work out for some of these guys. Like, look at Anthony at Manchester United, right? So that's the sort of case that if you play well internationally, you're playing well at a club that's doing the Champions League, you can get a big ticket move. And some people, like Crescencio Summerville, I'm just picking him out. I'm not saying I know anything or that I think this is the case or I want this to be the case, but he might fancy playing in Serie A. He might fancy playing in La Liga. We don't know what his career aspirations are. So that's all I'm saying, is you have to just look at it dispassionately and say, what's the logic for somebody wanting to move to a massive club, but not bigger in stature than Leeds, but is in a more favorable position where you can put up numbers and get yourself a massive move to a top 6 club in a top 4 league. I think that's the logic for it that I'm saying.
Yes, I understand the logic. I am definitely.
I'm not convinced either, Connor. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying this is where that might come from. I'm sure there's a lot of speculation. I'm not too concerned about him. I fully expect him to be a Leeds player, quintessential to what we do next season. But that's just the kind of the logic there.
Oscar Marriott, do we have any danger whatsoever? I don't know if you've seen it online. There has been a prominent Dutch journalist, who's come out and said that he believes that Crescencio Summerville will make a return to Feyenoord. And me and Gabe were just talking about it. But when you're in the background there, Gabe was making some valid points about European football. But my question, Oscar, is, do you think Crescencio Summerville, after the season he's had, and I am genuinely taking bias out of it, do you think he'd want to move away from Leeds United? And I guess the secondary question to that is, do you think Leeds would be potentially vulnerable if we were to go up? Oh. Damn it. Damn you, Oscar. I can't believe that's just happened.
Oh, dear.
Hold on. Go, Oscar.
It's retribution for you.
Oscar, apparently you've muted yourself. have a look on StreamYard, mate. Have you muted yourself on the StreamYard platform?
I want someone to sing "Everybody Hurts" while we're watching this.
Oh God! Listen, everybody. It's been the international break. We're just back. Nonso won't let him leave. They are brothers.
That's not how his career decisions work.
But I think it was more like tongue in cheek. But Perot scores goals. Bamford doesn't. If Bamford is in the lineup first game next season, then we are going straight back. Now,
I think if either of them are the starting striker next season, we're going down.
Oscar, I see. I don't see a cross through your mic. Go on, try.
Are we back?
He's back. He's back.
Word.
Hey.
2 computer reboots and traffic, and there we go. We're back. We're back, guys.
There we go, mate. There we go.
Right, Crescencio Summerville, for me, it depends on one thing and one thing only. Do we achieve promotion or don't achieve promotion? If we achieve promotion, I do not see a world where Crescencio Summerville goes to Feyenoord. Even with the European football factor, the factor that obviously, I think it's a club he supported as a kid as well, I believe.
He was brought up in the academy.
Yeah. So there's obviously an emotional connection there. Academy, club he supported. But if we go up, I just don't see it. Maybe that's me being naive. I just don't see us losing a player to, maybe 10 years ago or so. But I think the strength of the Premier League is such that I don't think it'll appeal to Crescencio personally. But I guess the big point there is, Oscar, are Feyenoord going to be able to afford that transfer value? Yeah, transfer fee, wages, so many different factors to put in there. And the fact of the matter is, Burnley offered us 20 million in the summer before Crescencio Summerville had this magical season, and we were able to reject that. I'm thinking, can Feyenoord pay anything close to 20 million? never mind. And that's without Crescencio Summerville's inflated value. Now he's worth much, much more than he was in the summer. So listen, if we don't go up,
I guess that was the whole thing as well with Willie Gnonto, wasn't it? The whole thing with Willie
of
Gnonto
course.
is you had Everton in there, and there was rumoured Juventus and Fiorentina, Lazio. The issue is these Italian clubs cannot afford the fees. They cannot afford what these players are worth.
And I think we only become vulnerable if we don't get promoted. I don't think it's necessarily to the Italian or Dutch teams. I think it's more to Premier League teams. You know, if we didn't go up, you'd have a lot of clubs looking at Crescencio Summerville. You know, you look at your Palaces, your clubs potentially coming up instead of us. You know, your Forests, if they stay up, Everton's, etc., etc. You know, they would be interested, you'd imagine, in Crescencio Summerville. So I do think if we go up, there's no chance of losing players like Crescencio Summerville, and Rutter you can throw into that as well. You know, there'll be rumours, you know, throughout the next couple of months or so about these players, you know, whilst, you know, it's still uncertain what league we're going to be in next season. But for me, I just don't see it. You know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe, but the strength of the Premier League is such that I think we've got the control of that situation. I just don't see how a move to Holland would appeal to Crescencio Summerville.
It's not likely, is it, Oscar? You know what I'm like about vocabulary. I don't think there's a 0% chance, but like, I think I agree. I think it's unlikely. The logic of it is that maybe he's thinking, all right, this I want to go. Maybe he has a dream of exactly where he wants to go, and thinks the most direct route is to stat pad while play Champions League somewhere. But you're right, and in terms of affordability either. Now there is a rumor out there that I've already heard, and I heard before that the Feyenoord are going to be selling a lot of the talent they've had this year. So and they're going to be selling them for huge margins, right? So maybe there's some substance to that, but I think it's probably less than a 5% chance. It's very low.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's very unlikely. I think the more likely players to leave, you know, if we did get promoted, are the fringe players this season who realise the game time's going to be even more limited next season. I don't see people like Crescencio Summerville, who will clearly be a big part of it. You know, if we do get promoted, I just don't see how they leave.
Yep. Interesting stuff. We've been asked the question, and I guess we're gonna have to talk about it. Leicester City's impending doom, which obviously it might not be to do with the league table, but it will be to do with whatever happens with Leicester next season. You know, if they stay in the Championship, they're in deep trouble. If they go to the Premier League, there is a points deduction there. Oscar, is this just sort of a major advantage for Leeds United? If a Leicester was to go up, there is talk of it potentially being a 10-point deduction. I guess my question is, would you rather Leeds United be going up now with a Leicester City instead of a Southampton or an Ipswich?
It's a good question. You know, you're looking at it, in fact, 10 points off. You're thinking they've got to get, you know, around 45, maybe even 48 points to stay up next season, which is a big ask for any newly promoted club. You know, Leicester have dropped off this second bit of the season. They've got to do a lot of business to take the Premier League by storm the way they would need to, you know, to clear that 10 points. So for me, I look at it and think, yeah, maybe. But also look at Southampton and Ipswich and think, Ipswich especially, and thinking the Premier League, ooh, that could be Sheffield United type vibes if they don't get the recruitment right, or, you know, aren't able to bring in the quality player they want to bring in. But yeah, I think you've got to go with the known, and I think the known is Leicester getting 10 points off would be great for us. You know, I think it'd be very difficult for Leicester to stay up with that. And then you're looking at, obviously, the manager's already showing signs of nerves. You know, you imagine what it's going to be like, a step up and with a points deduction. You know, it's tough times for Leicester potentially. But I don't know. It's one. I think either way, it's good for us. Either way, it's going to work out reasonably well for us if it happens, unless we don't go up this season, of course.
Then it won't work out very well.
But most scenarios, it works out well for us either way, really.
Oscar, too, if you're a player, because you mentioned it quite rightly so, that Leicester has to get their recruitment right, especially, you know, if they go up. If you're a player, would you want to sign with Leicester knowing that they're going to get a 10, 11 points deduction in the Premier League? Probably not, because it means that you're going to get a relegation statistically on like this. The probability is high that you're going down. That hurts someone's profile. I mean, unfairly so. I mean, like Ethan Ampadu, a couple of relegations on his CV doesn't tell the story of the kind of player he was. But just remember the perception. Even pundits and analysts and, you know, like people who got into transfer values were talking about that as if it was relevant. So it does hurt your career. And if you're a championship, it's easier, I think. The proposition. I know the championship is a tough league in a certain way. But it's really more that it's a grind. If you're Leicester, you think, okay, even if we get penalized in this league, in the championship, we still like our chances if we have a good manager, and we have to say that the manager is good for this level, and we can probably reload some with good championship players that are going to help take us up, and then we'll deal with what comes. I think, obviously, I would love to go up with Leicester and have them with a points deduction, because even the teams that survive, let's say Nottingham Forest manages to survive, gets out of the relegation zone or what have you, those are teams that I like we would like to have in the division with us, So, yeah, I think that you want to see Leicester go up with their points deduction. But if you're Leicester, I think it sounds crazy, but I'm not saying they as a club would rather stay down, but if you're just their ability to go forward, if they go up, is going to be much more difficult.
I saw Leicester, when certain things come into like your Twitter timeline and that lot, I saw a Leicester fan debating with Leicester fans, should we take the points now and gamble on the playoffs? And
we had Leeds fans saying they would rather stay in this division for a while when we were winning, and they weren't sure we'd go up because at least it was fun to watch. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, do Leicester, is it more of a risk for Leicester to take the points next season, or do they back the chances in the playoffs? I mean, for me, if I'm a Leicester fan, I think I take the promotion now. And then
you've got to go. You've got to get up there. You've got
playoffs,
to get up
anything happens. The playoffs. Yeah. There's no logic for Frank Lampard's Derby beating Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. That is the epitome of what the playoffs are. They are a complete lottery. So some Leicester fans were saying they would have done that though. But another thing to your point, Gabe, which is 100% what we saw with Sheffield United, is that with Sheffield United, it was different reasons. They were in financial ruin.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to keep hold of, the star players. Ndai and Sander Berger, they lost, after a promotion, they lost the two best players after getting promoted. Their team last season was better than the team they've been able to put together this season in every single sense. So would it happen to the same extent with Leicester? But who knows? With the Dewsbury Hall getting promoted, and then all of a sudden De Brighton come knocking again, to say, I don't know, a Newcastle or something like that come knocking, it's hard for Dewsbury Hall to say no. There will be definitely interest in Dewsbury Hall, and it'll be an interesting one. And there's other players as well you can throw into that. Fasawu, Mavididi, Hermansen, those are players that you look at and think feasibly could play for top 8, top 10 clubs.
And new players, Oscar, would you want to strap yourself to the Titanic that is the King Power if you're going to, if you're going to sign as a new player in this league, or as somebody trying to cut your teeth in the I just think it's they're looking at a tough go either way. I think it's does
it affect them mentally now?
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely plays on your mind. And I think what you saw with Everton earlier in the season when they got their points deduction, it was in the positive way. But I think with Leicester, maybe it'll be a positive. Maybe Leicester will really, what's the name, be galvanised by it. But I see it going the other way more with Leicester. Obviously Maresca's been very emotional last couple of weeks. They're already actually second in the table. Yes, the game in hand, but they've already got that psychological blow there.
I think there's been a couple of instances, hasn't there? I think the first time Everton got it, and when City got it, it galvanised both of them. I think Everton were pretty decent. And then obviously, I think it happened a second time, did it? Or something else happened when it came to either an appeal or something like that, and it galvanised Everton. They started playing really, really well. There's 2 stages to it anyway. So yeah, there's 2 ways it can go. I guess, like you've quite rightly said, I wonder now with, I was doing a bit of number crunching the other day. They've lost 3 in the last 6. Southampton have lost 3 in their last 6. So these aren't just draws. And you look at the assault on the division we've had in the past 10 to 12 games, really. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. And obviously Leicester are playing first on Friday. I did make a mistake in the video. I thought it was just a regular weekend. Of course it's not. It's Easter. But Leeds are the last team to play on Friday when it comes to Leicester, Ipswich and Leeds United. So it's imperative, Oscar, that they start the Friday with a win.
Yeah, definitely. And it's by no means an easy one. Bristol City away, we know how good Bristol City are at home. They gave us a good test. I think we ultimately deserve to beat them. But I think with the way Leicester are playing, they find you out, Bristol City. They've got the quality to find you out if you're not fully at it.
Well, we struggled. We struggled a little bit against them down there.
At times in that game, they will find you out. They don't give much away either. Bristol City's big threat on set pieces as well. Rob Dickey, real big set piece threat. You're looking at Leicester team at this moment in time. It's a tough one. That I think they probably will go and win there. But I don't think
I think they'll win.
I don't think it'll be a convincing one. I can see it being like a late goal or a 2-1 or quite a tight, nervy one. I mean, it'd have been better if Bristol City still had Nigel Pearson in charge. They've just added that extra little thing to it, but it is what it is, kind of thing. It's
bit of spice.
Bit of spice to it. He just played himself in that kind of game, Nigel Pearson.
Yes, straps on the boots one last time.
Injure as many players as you can.
It looks like as well. Junior Firpo might be struggling to get back and play for this game. Obviously, he's playing away with the Dominican Republic. The travel time is going to be ridiculous. So it looks like really he's not going to be available for this one. Do you almost see that as Gabe a little bit problematic? I don't think Junior's sort of set the world alight, but he's been consistent. He's given Leeds a little bit of a different dimension on that left. I think Leeds look a lot better with Junior on the pitch going forward. Obviously, he's going to be out for this one, and it's just going to be a like for like replacement you'd expect with Sam Byram there.
Yeah, Sam Byram hasn't played consistent or significant minutes in a while, so you'd expect a little bit of rust. But if the beginning of the season's any indicator of how he's going to play, I think we'll be just fine. To your point, Junior Firpo, we say he hasn't set the world alight, but in terms of his assist output has been fantastic, and just the way he's opened up play by being a naturally left-footed left back. Imagine that. Just our ability to be, it's not like we're always incisive in possession, but at least having the threat of being able to thread a pass with your left foot, it keeps the defenders honest. Everybody's going to know that Sam Byram's a right-footed left back when he's playing, so that defenses are going to be able to cheat a little bit. Now, Byram found ways to be impactful in the beginning of the season. Obviously, you don't like that he's going to have to come in relatively cold. Again, hasn't had a lot of game time. But I suppose this is why you sign players like Sam Byram, right? So they can come in moments like this. And you still have to look at this team. And I think we've talked about this a lot, the depth that Daniel Farke has brought. I mean, on the left side of that attacking trident, you have Jaden Anthony who can come in for Summerville if he's not having that's such a cheat code. Are you kidding me? Dan James coming in for Willie Nanto. And I got to say, at this level, to have Sam Byram coming in for Junior Firpo, you could do a lot worse.
100%. And I think the other factor for it is that to try and put a positive spin on it, I think we've spoken about rotation over these next couple of weeks. It kind of forces Farke's hand in terms of rotation. The fact that we will have to probably have to put Sam Byram in for Friday night. And that's by no means a bad thing, because Sam Byram defensively, you're thinking away from home, quite a tough away game. Watford have got some decent attacking talent. You're thinking more defensive solidity. I think Firpo's the better package overall, but it allows us to then have Firpo fresh for the Monday game against, Hull City, where he's got one of the biggest challenges of the season, trying to stop Jadon Philogene, in terms of that is a massive, massive one. And you're thinking, you probably won't be fresh going into a game like that. So in a way, it's not ideal, but it kind of allows us to rotate and force our hand a little bit. And it doesn't mean any awkward conversations with Parker. It just means he can just put one left back in for one game and one left back in for another. And
it's gonna really test the squad, isn't it? These next 4 games, really
for everyone. I think that'll be the decisive factor. Not just in terms of mentality. I think that squad depth and being able to rotate and making the right rotation as well. Not just doing. I think that's something that Russell Martin's definitely struggled with last couple of weeks. He's in terms of getting David Brooks into there, Adam Armstrong. He's trying to get that dynamic sorted in that kind of sense. Obviously, Brooks tends to play on the right hand side, but Armstrong's played all season on that right hand side. Odozi's not really played much football. He's not really been playing the same in the second bit of the season. Leicester haven't really rotated at all, and when they do try and rotate, they do struggle quite a bit, to be fair. I think the only rotation really Leicester have done is the centre forwards. Sometimes Vardy's played, sometimes Tom Cannon's played, sometimes Iheanacho's played. They've kind of rotated in that position, but the midfield three...
Daka as well.
Sorry, yeah. But the midfield three's been pretty much the same all season. They will have to do something at some point, and it feels like only us and Ipswich have really got that right. You have to give Ipswich credit. They've definitely
massive
got
credit.
Things right.
Massive credit. And to talking again about depth, I mean, we're going to talk about testing the squad, but the reality is these guys, for all the questions we asked about Farke rotating, there's not a player in this team who hasn't had some significant time. I guess Charlie Creswell hasn't, but very few of them who haven't had at least some time in big games. Sam Byram has played big games for us this season. So has Jaden Anthony. So has Dan James. So has Ilya Gruev now. We've had some big games where Archie's played in the central midfield position as well as out wide. Connor Roberts has been able to get into the team. So I'm really confident about the rotation right now. Obviously, you don't want to. I think that the only question we really have, we've not talked about it. I know it was brought up the last debrief, and the question is with Jorginho being out for a little bit. Because when you think about, I mean, we're number 1 on the form table. I'm less concerned about the Watford match as I am about the Hull match. I mean, Hull are what? They're 6th on the form table in the last 10. That they're playing well. They're difficult to beat, and that they're always a hard team to play against, right?
Look at the last month who they've faced, and they've not lost a game.
Correct. Right.
They're a good team.
They take points off all the big
teams.
Season.
And for as high and low as sometimes Jorginho's play is during a match, you can't deny the chance creation. And at the end of matches, he's come up really big, whether it just be a progressive carry, being persistent, keeping a play alive. Without him doing some of that, I know that we've talked about who's going in there. I'm not trying to kick up that discussion again, but you do wonder with the form this team has been on. Sometimes it's just a very small difference that can make be most impactful. So I think that's something we're going to have to watch. I would not be surprised if Farke goes a little bit more conservative and tries to squeak out some of these wins and not being able to play exactly as we've been playing. Because on paper, the switches make sense, right? And we have all the weapons. But chemistry together does matter. This is a team sport. And, I think I'm most happy that we're not going to see massive changes to the back line. Yes, Junior Firpo is going to come out. Defending isn't his strength anyway. So we may be a little bit less fluid in the attack in the attacking areas and in possession. But I think in terms of compactness, breaking us down, the central midfield positions aren't going to be that drastically changed. Center half pairing is going to stay the same. Connor Roberts coming in at right back. If that happens, okay, I'm more than happy with that. But one thing we will want to look at, and again, I think it's less so in the Watford match and more so when we play Hull City, is going to be what we get out of that number 10 role if Jorginho is not able to go.
It's definitely a concern. There's no doubt about it. I think stylistically it does change a lot. I think we have kind of mentioned last week, in terms of not having the profiles directly to replace Jorginho. Right. And it has hurt us at times this season when we haven't had that.
Right.
And it is sometimes a small change that disrupts things. In terms of, I go back to the start of the season, Jed Spence going to left back, not necessarily because of Jed Spence, but it did disrupt a lot of our attacking momentum down that side. You look at possibly a switch at the number 10 spot. Say if it was Joel Perot to go in, he's a totally different profile to Rutter.
I think he's probably going to start at the 10. Connor and I have talked about this
as well.
I think as much as we may not want to see it, I think that's probably what we're going to get. And fingers
crossed. Real worry for that for me.
I mean, I'd go Nonso personally.
I would.
I know we would, but I'm just saying based on what Farke's done and how he's rolled this team out.
He also the Italian under 21s as well. Nonso pretty much played in that position as well in the international break. So the Italians seem central as well, which is interesting.
Yeah. But I don't think, do we think that Farke is going to do something he hasn't done all season? Or do we think he's going to do something he's done repeatedly this season? And I know it's a worry. I know it's a worry, Connor, but we have gotten results with him in that position. So I think Farke is going to look at that and say, well, it's worked. We've been fine.
I think the difference with what I see with then you're right. But we're just having a chat on it, aren't we, on what we think. But I think the beauty of what I can see with Willie Nonso in that position as well is it's not just his balance either side. That low center of gravity, I think, is massive in taking a player on. And I think in that position, ball carrying is huge. And we've seen that this season with Jorginho. The problem is Joel Perot doesn't ball carry. He will not ball carry. That is the big issue. And
pick it up and carry it before a free kick.
Yeah, but he's not going to take a man on. He's not going to bypass a man, is he? So it's then I then think the focus is really, really, really heavy on Crescencio Summerville. I just really think it is for creativity, but it is what it is. We're just going to have to deal with that.
I think you're kind of back to the territory we're in, in that sort of bit of the season, obviously not just when Jed Spence came in, but when a lot of our threat was just going down the sides in terms of Russ was playing up top. He was ahead of Perot, and we weren't really getting that same level of creativity because Russ was kind of running onto things rather than taking the ball to feet and dictating the tempo in that kind of sense. It felt like a lot of our creativity came down, Crescencio Summerville in his 1v1s and Dan James in his 1v1s. It's not the end of the world. There's good creative threats, but you'd rather have that threat inside as well. We know how important, in terms of those combinations inside are to, Farke's system in that sense. And it does upset the balance. There's no question about it, as well as you have got Junior Firpo out also. You've obviously got Sam Barron coming inside, and it's just a totally different dynamic. And when you're playing so many games in such short spaces of time, you haven't got a lot of time on the training ground to work on these kind of things. So you probably do want to have, you kind of want to have a team and the B team kind of things, where you can kind of rotate between the two. Where you say you've got a Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, you probably want your A team to play 2 of the games and maybe rotate, a few players like Byram, James, Perot into the team for the other game kind of thing. I think that's what Farke will do. It's what I've had a little look actually at Norwich, in their run-ins in 2018, 2019, and 2020, 2021. Farke did rotate like that, to be fair. He did when he had the Saturday, Tuesday, Saturdays. That's how he tends to do things. So he doesn't want to upset the whole dynamic, but he's happy to maybe do 1 or 2 changes at a time, which is maybe why Perot will come in, because it means that Gnonto will stay in his position at this moment in time on the right-hand side, same dynamic that side, and Summerville will stay where he is. And the only change is Perot for Rutter kind of thing, because okay, there's only 1 personnel change. When you're having to move around players and that lot, it's kind of like 2 or 3 changes at a time. And that's what I don't think Farke will do.
I don't think he changes too much either, Oscar. I totally agree with you. I think, again, abstractly, it's interesting to think about. And I do think that Willie Gnonto could be really impactful. But the thing is, I think, and I agree with him on this, I think what Farke really likes is sending out Gnonto against a team and then to put the match away, bring on Dan James's blistering pace. It's such a nightmare for defenders. It really is. You've had to deal with Willie Gnonto all match, and now Dan James comes on. He's going to run you into the ground when you're already tired. You've already been on the back foot.
It's the nightmare player at 1 down. If you're 1-0 down, you have to commit men forward. The nightmare player is Dan James, especially the composure he's got. When he gets that chance, he's taking it at this
Even
moment
if you're protecting a lead, Oscar, because he does. I'm not saying Gnonto puts in the work defensively, but Dan James is better at it, right? So you bring him in to preserve a lead, and then on the counter, my God, it's terrible to have to face. And so I just think, as much as it would be interesting to see other calibrations of the team, I think we're probably going to see Peru come in the 10, and then we're going to see not very many changes, because again, when you look at how the team's been playing, the run of form we've been on, I think Farke is pretty keen to ride this as long as it's going to go.
I think as well, you look at this, I'm just having a quick look at the whole City depth. I mean, some of the, and I'm not overlooking Watford whatsoever, but Philogene, Carvalho, Zarori,
crazy, it's crazy.
Going forward, that is top class. They
have to come to Ellen Road too, which is good for us, thankfully.
I
wouldn't like to go there, but
I mean, Billy Sharp as well. You forget Wiley Old Sod on the bench. But yeah, it's listen, it's going to be. I think Hull's going to be the toughest one, and obviously their last result was a draw against Leicester. So it is, and I believe in their last 4 they've beaten Southampton away as well. So they've got a good away record, Hull. So that's something we have to take into consideration. I think, listen, it's going to be if we come through this week, I think there's going to be some slip ups this weekend. I think there's going to be some. I think there is going to be. I think I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I think one of the 4 are going to be out of it by Monday, and that's because I think they could slip. I think there's a couple of teams who I'm looking at it with their next 2, and I'm thinking they could slip up there. I'm looking at Southampton at the minute, and if I'm a Southampton fan, I'm a little bit worried as well. I think they've got about, it's 8 or 9 fixtures. How many they've got left, Oscar? I think it's 8. Is it 8 on?
Is it 8? Is it 9 or 10? I think it's quite a lot.
But they've got 9 of which, or it might be 8 or 9. I think they've got 8 or 9 in about 26 days. It's ridiculous. Their fixture pile up, and they're getting injured.
They have rotated well all season.
No, I think Bednarek's out as well, isn't he? So they've got another big player out there. But
they've got Middlesbrough and then Ipswich. That's tough.
It's horrible. But this
Middlesbrough are a threat,
And then Coventry's really good in terms of the form table right now. They played Leicester.
Gabe, we've all weirdly got to play them. But when I was looking at the fixture difficulty rating, which Opta provide, Leeds, according to Opta, actually have the joint easiest fixtures, but second is Leicester. And I was looking at the Leicester fixtures, and maybe it's because I've got my Leeds bias hat on, and I know historically, which Gabe won't like, but I've known historically where Leeds slip up And I'm looking at those as some of the difficult fixtures. But when you actually compartmentalise it, Oscar, and do look at Leicester's running in particular, I am looking at that and thinking they've got their toughest games, I felt, when I've looked at their fixture list, have been at home. And I think they'll get over the line just there, to be honest with you.
I think so. I do think Leicester will do it. I think. I personally think it'll be us and Leicester. I'm not saying that with my chest, by the way. I'm only kind of like 55, 45, 64.
I think it will. I think it will be us. I think it'll be us and Leicester.
I want it
agree.
to be us on Ipswich. I want the romance of Ipswich to survive. That's good.
I mean, Ipswich are a big threat. I mean, we've already said about Chris Wilder, 2019 Sheffield United kind of vibes with them. It's very much that in a different kind of way. Rather than kind of winning 1-0, they just always seem to manage to get the 4-3s over the line. But yeah, I think us and Leicester, you look at the games we've got to play. I mean, for us, I think you've said before, Connor, about this weekend could be critical and see teams out of it. I look at our last three games, certainly. Borough away, QPR away, Southampton at home.
Wait, who away did you say for the first team?
Borough away.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Not Burrow, Gabe.
No,
Burrow.
I thought he said Borat. I was like, we're not playing Borat.
Burrow.
I'm just looking at those 3 games and think if we're like if we do find ourselves behind for whatever reason at that point, that's not where you want to be either. Kind of, it's just psychologically out because it's not the nicest final 3 games. Going to London, QPR fighting for their lives. We know what happens at Loftus Road. I can't remember last time we scored at Loftus Road. It's just always something crazy happens at Loftus Road. If it's Naki Wells punched it in or missed penalties or whatever, something always happens at Loftus Road. Gabe will not like this going back to history, but records.
Oh, wait, no. Hang on.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. He gets closer to the mic.
I've never ever said that I don't like history. That's how it's being quoted now. I don't like superstition about and the last time we won there was 1958. So we won't be able to win like that. No. I don't believe that way.
It links in. It links in with each other, though, doesn't it? That's the
but then you get this superstition. It's like chill in your bones every time we talk Loftus Road.
Yeah. Well, we do, mate.
No. But no, I don't mind you talking about our history at a ground, unless of course we're talking about one of those really terrible grounds. And
Loftus Road's definitely up there when it comes to. I mean, I do like how close to the pitch it is. To be fair, I do like that side of it. But anyway, it's I don't think there's a massive difference in terms of fixture difficulty, but there's no question about it. I think us and Leicester. If you had to pick out the 4, you're probably taking us 2. You're probably taking Leicester first, to be honest. I think they probably have got the easier side of things, but we're probably second in that regard.
Are you worried? Like we mentioned this before the debrief, didn't we, Oscar? When Gabe was swanning off doing his thing, it's that checkered flag, isn't it, that we were speaking about? And it is right now. I mean, I know it sounds obvious, but I think when you've been top of the table and like. My mates who might not watch Leeds are saying, how are Leeds doing? I'm like, oh yeah, we're top of the league. And they're like, Jesus, really? Top of the league? I didn't even expect. And I'm like, yeah. But then it's not an asterisk as such with it, but it's a point between 3 teams. One team's got the game in hand. And it does feel right now that pressure cooker has been dialed right the way up, and it is all systems go on Friday. And I do have a little bit of... getting a little bit of anxiety all of a sudden now, a little bit of worry. Definitely a little bit of worry.
Only you could take a rocket ship ascent.
You've got to say,
and be like, you know what? It's because you open up the table every day and look at the position. And it hits you like the sound when they look at the drum set in Step Brothers.
It can't change until Friday, Connor. Don't panic, mate.
Yeah. I can't change until the end of the season, and then I'll be anxious about the summer, then anxious about the Premier League. Can you
imagine Connor as an astronaut, Oscar? He's like in space. He's like, it's a long way down that. like, what's the?
We're getting back. Is what he's saying. I think we've got the fuel to get back in this thing.
Yeah. He's sort of like
Oscar. You've nailed it. That's exactly what I think as well. We've got the fuel to get back. We've got some
How
water.
How far is it down? How long would it take if we fell back into the atmosphere to hit the ground again? Like, Connor would be running all these calculations, and Oscar would be like, "Oh, the stars are nice out here."
One for Gabe, the anti-English man. But there we go. So yeah, I do think it's going to be an anxious one. It's going to be an anxious one.
Oh, definitely. There's no way around it when it's so close. When there's 4 teams are fighting for 2 positions. We've never had this.
Well, how do you two feel? Are you two not feeling any sort of? I mean, you two just sort of like
nerves,
going into it. like confident, really over.
Best man for the job. We've got the best
Yeah.
man for the job in terms of in this situation. He's been in this situation twice before, and he's passed the test with flying colours. Listen, different scenarios. We can't look too much at that. It's a different team, different club, different environment, etc., etc. But I think you got to have some level of confidence. The form we've been in January, we genuinely do look like the best or one of the best teams in the league. I think we're certainly in that top two for a reason, in terms of on this season. But we've seen it before. 2019, we were in a similar position. We didn't get it over the line. In 2020, we did. So you just never know at this level. I think it's all about momentum as well. I think you said, Connor, if one team could easily lose the next two over this weekend, and it's hard to come back from that. There's no getting away from the fact it is hard to come back from that. If you lose the next two, psychologically, it happened to us in 2019. Obviously, Wigan and Brentford. But I feel this Leeds team, when we have had uncertainty, difficulty, we've passed the test this second bit of the season. Preston at home, Leicester at home, Sheffield Wednesday away. We got through those games. I think we're much better at seeing games out now, and we've got the tools to do it as well. Yeah. I think the issue for us is a Rodon, potential injury, a Bamford potential injury. That is the concern. There's no getting away from it. That spine of the team, that end of the team, definitely profile-wise, we do lack replacements for a Rodon.
Ampadu the other one.
As well. I think Ampadu, I'm a little bit less nervous. Not because he's a lesser player or anything like that. I think we maybe could just about get away with Ampadu, but I think Rodon and Bamford would be tough. You're asking a lot on then Massio Joseph, Joel Perot, a totally different profile of centre-forward. Yeah. Who comes in if Perot got an injury? It's all theoreticals. That's it. You can say the same for Leicester if Dewsbury Hall got
yeah, you're right. The logic applies to every team. I think where I sit on it in terms of anxiety, Connor, is just one of those things where it's like, listen, I don't feel happiness very often anyway, right? So we're on a run of form.
Is this you happy?
I think this is what happiness looks like for me. I mean, look, when was the last time we've conceded a goal? Anybody know?
I thought you were about to say when was the last time you saw me smile.
Yeah, a smile in a non-smug way. It's very rare. So I think
it's a smile after Tyler Adams smashes one in from 40 yards.
I didn't even smile. I was like,
I got a text within about 5 minutes after that went in.
No,
5 minutes.
I waited. No, it's wrong. I've got a timestamp. I sent it to you the next day. The lies I have to, the misinformation factory I have to fight on this channel every day for my own friends. No, that'll kill my shine. No, but the reality is, Connor, of course there's risk. Of course you worry about losing, but I have to say the way this team has played offensively, sometimes it's a little bit inconsistent. The defense has been rock solid. And we talked about the uptick in performances from Meslier. It's easier to do when you're facing less high quality chances, which the defense has done. So they've sort of pulled him up a little bit, but to his credit, he's put his feet down under him and he stood up a little bit taller. So I think we've caught fire at the right time. I don't know that we've completely peaked yet. Maybe we have, maybe it's unsustainable, but the reality is that if you're any objective viewer, and you're just looking at form and the players and the depth and the coaching, you have to bet on Leeds United. It's the logical bet to take right now. And so I feel good in that regard. And it's nice to see us win. It's nice to see us keep the clean sheets. And again, I know we could complain if we wanted to, but we want to see 4 or 5 goals. I'm happy to be a little bit risk averse and win 2-3-0. Awesome. Give me that every week. I'll be happy as a clown.
Well,
they'd have to be defensively looking at it. We're literally not conceding goals. It's not a case of keeping goals down. We're not conceding goals.
I know.
It would have to be a big drop off to our problems, really. Because if we can say if there's a bit of a drop off and we start conceding maybe a goal a game kind of thing, that's still probably realistically okay. You'd still back this Leeds team to score 2 goals to win the game, kind of thing. In that kind of sense, if you're looking at it from that point of view. And that's a big drop off to go from, the average we're averaging at this moment in time is basically 0. We haven't conceded a goal
all season. Oscar, let me just give you the all season. But let me give you the all season because of how good it's been in the second half of the season. Let me give you the all season number. The all season number for goals against per match, 0.9 in home, 1.08 away. That's incredible over an entire season.
All we have to do is maintain that. If we only concede a goal a game, all we have to do is maintain that. And you back this Leeds team to score 2 goals in most games. Maybe there'll be the odd game where we misfire a little bit, but you back that to be enough. And that's if we have a drop-off kind of thing. If we maintain what we've done in the second bit of the season, I can't see problems for us at all. You know,
Yep.
it's unrealistic to expect us to continue for the next 9 games to not concede a goal. But you know,
and we're controlling games. I mean, we're talking about 60% possession at home, 56% away for the entire season, and it's been better since January. So this is a team that doesn't give up a lot of goals, doesn't give up a lot of high quality chances, doesn't give up possession, and could be a little bit more incisive in the final third.
Either.
What's that?
It's not like Melié's making save after save, and you're thinking, oh, at some point,
100%. It's not like they're peppering his goal.
Away.
Yeah.
Well, let's round it off, guys, with some score predictions of the Easter weekend. Obviously, Gabe, we'll come to you for your Watford and Hull scores first. What are your thoughts?
2-0 Leeds with Joel Perreault. He is risen out of the ashes, scoring one of the goals.
Hope so.
The resurrection of Joel Perreault at Leeds.
Okay, Oscar, what's your Watford score?
I can't lie. I went the exact same. I was going to mention about Perreault. I think
Go on, Oscar.
Perreault is it's not a hot take to say he's not as good a number 10 as Jorginho Rutter, but he does have an extra goal threat. There's no question about it. He's a bigger goal threat than Jorginho. It's a direct goal threat. I'm not talking about assists and things like that.
Yeah.
But
actually scoring them yourself. You're right.
You know, the space Bamford creates in behind, you think maybe Perreault can just get that one chance and you back him to take it. But yeah, I think 2-0. I don't think it'll be the comfortable 2-0. I think it'll be a Sheffield Wednesday type game. I think Watford obviously got that good win under Tom Cleverley at Birmingham, quite a solid win for them. So it'd be interesting to see they can't be any worse than what they were at Ellen Road in the first bit of the season. That has to be said. But oh my, I'm not seeing that comment. I have not seen that comment. Ampadu, something about Ampadu,
let's not get excited. He could just picked up a hard challenge. He's staying down until he gets stretchered off the pitch. Let's relax. Jeez.
I don't see bad news. If I don't see the bad news, it can't hurt me. So, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Paul Gray, have you said that Watford win, or are you saying we win against Watford?
Yeah, if you're saying Watford win, that's a bad weekend for us, Paul.
Against Hull.
That is
it's a terrible win for
maybe
us.
He's saying we win 2-0 against Watford. I think he's saying that.
I think he is. Okay, so we've gone both of you 2-0s. I'll go with a 2-1. 2-1 Leeds win. Hull City then, Gabe.
Wait, you got 2-1.
2-1, yeah. Sorry, not that precious. We can concede a goal.
I think that's been our lucky score prediction, actually. It's been our lucky score prediction, though, every time we do. Well, not every time. We haven't been tracking Avi. I don't even know why we do score predictions. You don't write them down.
Yeah, but it's fun, isn't it?
I think Hull City, I like us for a scrappy 3-1 at Ellen Road. I think it's one of those. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones.
I don't think that's Gabe.
No, hang on. Listen to me. I think it's one of those ones that's like 1-1 until it opens up right at the end, and we get a game-winning goal and then hit them while they're down. So I think it's going to be a closely contested match, but I think ultimately the scoreline is more flattering than the way the game goes.
Okay. Oscar, have you given your whole score yet? No.
I will go 2-1 Leeds. What I'll just say is, just add one more other thing. These next 3 are the ones I really look at: Watford, Hull, Coventry, Coventry as well. If we can get through these next 3,
the great Haji Wright.
Yeah, I mean, Coventry are a threat, mate. Seriously, they've got the quality to hurt us. You know, Coventry tend to come alive at this point in the season as well. Under Mark Robbins, they tend to really finish strong. So. Oh, that's a horrible game. The whole game's a horrible game. But if we can come out of this with 7 or 9 points, I have big confidence of us getting the job done, to be honest. But Oscar, I'll go 2-1.
Did you know that Haji Wright has 13 goals and 6 assists this season?
Yeah, did he score 2 hat-tricks? Something to really, proper stat pad.
Maybe, but the 6 assists is what I didn't really expect.
I thought you were
close to Summerville numbers.
I thought you were going to bite when I said stat pad then, but you didn't.
No, because he's a Coventry player. I have no vested interest. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, no, he's. And I think Ellis Sims as well started, getting on the score sheet as well. Coventry, decent players as well. Sakatomo as well is a really, really impressive player on the right hand side. Is he injured at this moment in time? Am I right in saying?
Sakamoto was, yeah. Callum O'Hare's another problem though, isn't it?
The Cov Grealish, I think they call it.
The Cov Grealish, yeah.
Well, does he not play?
Good player, though, to be fair.
Does he not play? Does he get benched?
Oh.
The Coventry Grealish. Is that what happens? Is that why we're calling him Jack Grealish? Does he have
Have
really
you
nice
seen
hair?
Callum
It's not
O'Hare?
white.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm with you.
Hey.
Gabe, have you
It
seen
took a while.
Callum O'Hare?
Took a while to get him in with the bait.
If you think I'm gonna bite over Jack Grealish, you don't know me well.
There's just no recognition. You're like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, just blame it on the screen freezing again.
Uh,
But yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. I will go with a 2-1 win again. So I've gone.
There
for
it is
2-1.
again. At a guy. We haven't conceded in a million matches, and we concede 2 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
This is the thing about Connor and the getting home from Mars kind of thing. It's like we've got to concede at some point.
Yeah. It's to prevent the crushing disappointment. I think to not set himself up for a deep.
You
fall.
both can I just say you both said that we'll concede against Hull. So
Yeah, we will.
there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, guys. Keep getting your comments in. Make sure you're liking the video. Heading over to the Patreon for some bonus content. And from me and the boys, we will see you next time. Cheers.